Welcome into the Grapevine on a Thursday morning here on Smooth 98.1. You know we love music and we love life, most definitely. 17 minutes past 8 a.m. And this is where we get to talk about everything and anything that has to do with the world of entertainment. All the gist, shaking of tables, breaking, shattering, whatever it is that you want to call it. This is where it all goes down. And you get to be a part of all the action. So all you need to do is to join us on WhatsApp or on YouTube. Yes, we are streaming on YouTube. WhatsApp, the number is 0911 999 Also on YouTube, you can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Please do join us, send your messages in, and keep up with us in the Grapevine this morning. All right, you know how we always do on a Thursday. It's a full house. It is a terrific trio in the studio. Ayokunmi here. Oris also in with me this morning. Oris, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning. Anyway, good the rest of the day for everybody.
So wherever it is.
Exactly who is into Lagos.
All right, and of course, you already know me, man, James Silas.
Yeah, good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Oris. What's happening, everybody? Shout out to everybody that's been listening since day one. You know yourselves.
Oh, yes, the real MVPs. You make what we do here absolutely worth it. And you are most appreciated. Even if you're just tuning in for the first time today, you are a real MVP. I don't care.
I don't agree with that, but fair.
I just knew.
I'm withdrawing the MV player certainly, but I don't know about
Goodness gracious.
So, but maybe next week. When the same person comes in next week, then maybe I'm willing to give the MV a pick.
We shall see. All right, let's start this morning. Let's talk about Kanayo. And he has voiced his concerns over what he describes as a dangerous trend that is threatening the future of Nigerian cinema. Now, speaking on the direction of his YouTube channel, he emphasized his commitment to storytelling and the craft of acting over the growing obsession with quote and unquote fine faces and popular names. And I'm pretty sure what he means here is, all these so-called influencers and co who decide, what, maybe just go into acting and then they get cast in movies and so on and so forth. Whereas they don't really have that much talent for the craft and everything. He's saying this is threatening the industry, Oris, you have some insight for us on this one.
Well, first things first, I have to say that I don't think it's threatening any industry, frankly. First things first, I think what is happening here is, in the US, they say it's an old man shouting at clouds. So that's just what's happening. There's nothing specifically terrible about what's happening. And anyway, if there's anything bad about it, it's going to be people like Kanayo producers who are making these things happen anyway. So it's not like anybody showed up from somewhere and said, hey, cast these guys or die. They've made their bed and now they are lying on it. Anyway, to be fair, Kanayo has to have been one of the persons who probably got into the industry because he was a fine face when he was younger. So I have no idea.
No, but yeah. Are you saying that even with the fine face then, he didn't have the talent? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying that his fine face as a young man was almost certainly a factor in why he got his opportunities he got when he was young.
One of the factors.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. Who knows? Probably the casting because he was actually the prettiest boy in campus. So I don't know. All I'm saying is that his face contributed to why he got the opportunity. So 3,000 years later, to come and turn back and say, "Hey, look, fine faces are a problem," right? Like, all he should probably say is, you know what, fine faces, I think, are necessary for the movie industry. It's kind of how it works. Show business, show. A pretty face would always work on TV, on whatever, on YouTube, all of these places. So I don't know it's a great idea to criticize that. It's just how it is. Maybe the other bit. So if, of course, there's a thing about the social media guys, let me remind everybody, and I just realized this over the weekend, actually, a friend of mine who is quite the Nollywood historian, even more than I am, said that back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, there was a particular movement against people who were not particularly trained in theater arts who came into the industry. As everybody knows, David in 1992 were kind of the turning point commercially for the film business. And many people who came into Nollywood at the time were people who had studied or were studying
theater arts. Yeah.
After a while, some people who were not, who were just pretty, came into the industry. And a few of the actors at the time were saying that, oh, these guys are not particularly trained. Why are they in the industry? And some of the people who were, I think, looked upon like that were like maybe, I think people like Potential, for instance, who I don't think had like a theater degree.
Okay.
But I'm sure Kate probably has something to say about social media people now. But the point is this, is that these industries grow and it's in cycles. There was a time when you needed to, I guess, the thing that has always been constant is pretty faces. But the people at the time, 30 years ago or so, were saying, hey, you didn't have this. Why are you here? Now, people are saying, you don't have this. Why are you here? So the same thing. And it's people who were probably criticized at the time who are making the comments about social media people now.
Right now, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, you know what? Unfortunately, I would love to see great actors on the screen, both on YouTube, both on Netflix,
On all platforms.
on every platform, you know. Yeah. But fact of the matter is this, is that the way it works is things kind of change. And so, of course, talent is important. But producers are the ones making these decisions. Of course, I'm happy with KOK saying, hey, look, I'm going to only go with this and good stories. Good for you. But fact of the matter is this, is that if you have somebody who has some kind of following, and this is where I understand the money people, it kind of cuts your marketing budget or your marketing time.
Right.
If I have to say this film stars James Silas, who is a big star, it will mean that I don't have to tell everybody.
Tell him, bro.
It will mean I don't have to tell everybody that, oh, this film is coming out because James has like an inbuilt.
You just leverage on his popularity already.
Exactly. So I'm not a big fan of. So I won't lie. Me, I'm a purist. I'm always going to be like, hey, give us a great film anyway. But I don't know that historically YouTube has, I guess, given people the greatest movies ever.
Right.
So in a certain sense, this is the bottom part of the industry complaining.
Oris.
Bottom talent.
Oris. No, just pause there. James, I beg, help us because Oris wants to scatter studio. Do you agree with his assertions, or you have another angle to this conversation?
I don't actually agree with him. I mean, the truth is that you cannot be. I mean, I don't. I mean, with all due respect to Kanayo, I feel like he's a legend in this, as far as Nollywood is concerned, you know. But I don't expect him to be, you know, complaining or, you know, making these assertions. And who's complaining really? As far as we, the viewers, I don't see. There's no problem. Do you understand? If I watch a movie, if I think it didn't cut or it didn't connect or I don't like it, I'll say I don't like it or I just won't go back there next time. Do you understand? I mean, kind of, I don't know how you want to criticize markets where you are also hustling in. You know, so what do you want us to do? Leave these other guys and just be watching your own channel? Do you understand? Get with the program. It's what it is. Game has changed. And when we look at, I'm sure he's talking about the people on YouTube. When you look at the people who make their movies on YouTube right now, I beg, how many can we really complain about? Which one do you not like? What exactly is it? Because and then is it like he tried to get somebody and then the person has said, "Oh, I'm booked until so time because of YouTube." If that's what the situation is, it's what it is. Do you understand? So I don't think this is the time for you to be critiquing that. Instead, just support and maybe however you can, whatever you can add to help it. That's what you should be talking about. Not make it seem like you are not happy about how the thing is looking or how they are taking fine faces. When did fine face not ever sell? Do you understand?
Exactly.
So what's the complaint really? What exactly is the complaint? So and if you look at, like I said again, I don't want to disrespect, but if you look at how Kanayo has, what's it called, trended. Maybe I don't know if it's trended or been in the news. Not, I mean, recently or he's always want to say something to get attention and stuff. But he's also a hustler there. He has his own channel. He's making his own movies. He's a lover boy in his own movies as well. So I don't know, man.
Even at this
You all
age,
got
because
to chill.
I don't watch YouTube movies as much. But is he a lover boy even at this age? Yes. Is he?
What do you say, always?
Is Kanayo playing lover boy at this age?
He is. It's there on his channel. I didn't make this up.
Super Fox moves now.
That's funny.
Is easy.
Say something about, I think, Kanayo in particular, and maybe people of his generation. I think they have a sense. They have a certain inclination to take as an industry problem a personal problem. Like James just pointed out, there's a good chance that what has happened here is that he wanted a particular face and maybe couldn't afford the face, or the face was engaged in a different project, and only because, of course, such a person is in high demand. That's a possibility. Or maybe he saw something and was like, he wasn't particularly happy with it.
Right.
But now he showed up to speak about it as though it's like an industry-wide problem.
Instead of speaking of it as a
exactly, bros. It's kind of like your production company's problem.
Guys, do you know what it will mean for somebody who's put in so many years into the business, and then you go to your channel and see like maybe 250,000 views, and then you now look at, you just come across one, in quotes, one stupid channel of fine faces that you don't like.
One fine face.
And they have 2.5 million in 24 hours. You'll be like, what?
I hear you on that one.
I just don't like that idea of taking what is a personal
issue
into describing it as going for an industry problem.
Right.
Probably isn't.
All right, before we leave the story, as James talked about, pretty faces and all that, and for some reason, I just remembered Regina Askia. I don't know why.
Okay.
Just came to me.
She's the Kanayo generation, so it's fine.
I mean, well, it is what it is. Anyways.
Sorry, Ayo, guys.
She wasn't particularly acclaimed to be a great actress but she was incredibly pretty. So, and even till now, such a good looking one. Yeah.
You know how long ago we've had Nollywood, or how long ago Nollywood has been built to where we are today?
Yeah.
Talking about giving people a chance. Do you know we can count the faces, or we can count the people that built or that made Nollywood from how many years, decades ago, to where we are today? Do you understand? We can count those faces back to back. They were regulars, and they held the industry till where we are today. So if it was that easy or simple, that we would have had like uncountable numbers. Look at Hollywood, for instance. The list can be endless. But here, we can actually count. You get what I'm saying? So where is this space for opportunities for other people?
Yeah, that is, which is why, of course, I'm sure he feels this is entitled, because, of course, there's only a few of them from that generation, and now there's like, I guess, a whole lot more. So I guess for him, it's a little bit scary that these numbers are just increasing.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's take a very quick break. And when we come back, another legend is in the news talking about Brecht music. He's also been talking, but about music in this instance. What has he been talking about? We'll find out in a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Grapevine here on Smooth 98.1.
I think it's a little weird, Sha, to understand that the industry that you kind of built, or the place you built, is kind of growing without you, or it's growing with you, but you are not particularly one of the most important figures. I think it can be a scary thing as one gets older, which is for all of us, by the way. Everybody's studio. That's for all of us too, baby.
Yeah.
Everybody's young and feeling fly, like, the world is yours. But who is to say that in a few years, they shift you on the side and then suddenly, bam, not everybody will be
absolutely. Jay-Z. But always, you have to find a way to rebrand and get into the program. Look at what RMD is doing. Do you understand? He has to rebrand and get into the program.
But the fact of the matter is, RMD is one person, and up until recently, RMD wasn't really producing. So I guess in a sense, he was collecting money from the industry, not particularly putting it into the industry. People like Kanayo, have kind of staked both sides. So I guess for him, the stakes are maybe a little bit higher than they are probably for.
I mean, you just mentioned, we just talked about RMD. RMD is one, not just one. There's also
but there's a handful of them. They don't reach 5.
Well, yeah, true, Sha.
I think it's only RMD, Shola Shobowale. I think there's only 2 of them, bros. In terms of like
Ramsey Noah.
Okay, Ramsey, yes, then Ramsey. I think that I've maintained a certain level of maybe A list, B lists up on from like 30 years. Remember Chidi just showed up like maybe 2 years ago, so it wasn't really to be reckoned with until just recently. So maybe you add him now, but very few people. So in a sense, the RMD situation is a peculiar one. KOK is probably a lot more what happens to people in the industry, and even he has tried in a way, because there's money more of his generation that are not even nowhere to be found right now. But yeah, R&B is like peculiar. Like I said, just like 5 of them, if not less. Maybe
And you know, this
K10 shots.
again,
K too.
if you are
K10
not,
shots.
if you are not, if you are not popping on the screen, sometimes you can still be very, very eloquent on social media. I mean, Richard Dominic is still very relevant. K10 is still very relevant.
I just find babe.
Uh,
I don't think I just find babe. She's been fine since we're young and she's still fine now. Plus, there's something about marriage for women, really for men, for everybody, but especially for women, that just brings them back into some kind of fame that is like, okay, we've forgotten that you are here, and then suddenly, bam. So remember that Rita's boosts were one, the engagement, and then two, the wedding. Those are like two of the biggest things that kind of
was huge. That was
exactly
huge for her
that.
as well. Fine face, very important. All right, welcome back into the Grapevine on a Thursday morning here on Smooth 98.1. You know, we love music and we love life as well. It is a beautiful day to talk about what's been going on in the world of entertainment. Pretty faces in the studio. Yes, we're talking about pretty faces in Nollywood. We have them in the studio and on Zoom as well. My name is Ayokunmi Kekiriako, and of course, Oris with me here as well. And the man, James Silas.
Yeah.
That's what's up. You can join us on the Grapevine as always. Send your messages in on WhatsApp 0911 999 0981 0911 999 0981. Also join us on YouTube to see the pretty faces. Yes, YouTube Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Was there? It's just more sacrifice at the end of the day. It's not a big deal. Tayyada just says, Pretty Face and BBL Drizzy are the new marketing models.
That's probably fair.
KOK as a veteran needs to make the right sacrifices so they know who he is and move away from the lover boy lifestyle. His legs can't carry him to chase love. Regina is practicing her nursing job in the abroad at Bego. She's paid her due and left. Like Karaga said, leave before it leaves you.
And that's difficult for people who have enjoyed a certain level of
I'm telling you.
fame and attention. I'm going to now leave it. But yeah, I mean, kudos to Regina, because I saw her recently, like, she must be fine.
I mean, and it runs in the family, if you know what I mean. Anyways, let's talk about veteran Nigerian high life musician Bright Chimezie. Now, he has voiced his concern over the quality of lyrical content in today's music industry. Now, speaking on a recent episode of the Creativity podcast, the legendary performer, who is popularly known as Okoro Jr., acknowledged that modern artists are making waves globally, but lamented the lack of meaningful messages in their songs. Now, he said that music is more profitable now than in his own time, but the present crop of artists don't really have lyrical content like that. And James, I know that we've listened to a lot of music, you know, in the modern era and so on and so forth. I mean, he's not off the mark, but I will say that this lyrical content issue is not a today problem, if we're being honest. Not a today problem, really and
Yeah,
truly.
I mean, it's global, it's everywhere. So you have to identify the area that you are actually referring to. Pop music has never really given us or said much. This is not to mean that they did not make sense or the theme of the record did not make sense or whatever, but
Right.
you have to identify the area that you're actually pointing at. Honestly speaking, I used to think that back in the day, they had a lot of repetitive lyrics, even with bright music. And I say this honestly, no disrespect. When you listen to a song like that's his biggest, probably his biggest song, Police, yeah, Police. How many times did they repeat Police, yeah, yeah? How many times did they repeat it? So if you talk about lyrics, for pop music, you don't expect too much. Guys, why are you laughing? You don't set me up. Are we not together like this? Okay, I'm done. Let's go.
You're killing me, man. Anyway, but
I wasn't expecting that.
Honestly. James, maybe just
Yeah.
maybe you are right in the, I guess, in the broadest sense of of the quality of pop music over generations. But I have to say this. I think the one angle in which I probably would agree with him is that I think elsewhere, this is why I'm a little disturbed about Afrobeats or whatever it's called. Um, I think elsewhere the best pop music By best, I mean like the most popular of pop music or whatever, the big artists of a particular generation elsewhere. Let's use the US, which is of course the model for pop music. I think generally speaking, they are those the greatest artists care about both sides, production and lyrics, in terms of like what does it sound like, the beat and stuff, the melody and everything, and what the writing is. So when I say this, I mean like, of course, before now, in the 80s, you would have said Michael Jackson, you would have said Prince. You know, those I think those are, at least in my head, those are like the two big boys. You say Mariah Carey, maybe like later 90s and stuff. And Beyonce. Now, if you take a look at these people, Kanye West, all of these guys, take a look at their lyrics. You can almost read it in the sense that there is some logic to what they are saying. Of course,
Yes,
you know that. Yeah,
Oris,
yeah.
guys, let me tell you, you see, the only genre, as far as I'm concerned, that pay
Mhm.
attention to lyrics that you cannot even escape is rap music, hip hop, basically.
Wait,
Rap music, you cannot escape it. If you talk rubbish, if you do, we will see you. Like you said, we can read it, you can see, you can tell,
yes. No, but I'm
when you are
saying,
not
yeah,
making sense. Yeah.
James, but there's a reason why I won't even mention rap stars, because of course you're right.
Okay.
Lyrics are very important for rap music. But I'm saying even pop music. Like I said, the best of the best pop musicians in the US, historically, I mean, at least from my memory, from the 80s down to now, every generation, all of them, the guys who were like top two, top three, always cared equally about lyrics and the beat.
Trying to find the balance.
Yes, my issue with Afrobeats or with Nigerian pop music is that it looks to me like there's a lot of focus on the sound, on the melody, on the beats, than the lyrics. Even for our greatest artists, maybe except Burna Boy. But a lot of them, I mean, remember back in the day where they were saying about Whiskey and she tell me say that's one. Then even I think his second album when he had that song, Farouk Eleni, what's the one song? No, yes, somebody said me exactly that song. You know about how towards the end, the entire vibe changes because okay, how are you going to make the idea of sleeping with somebody on the bed with Farouk Eleni? Anyway, fact of the matter is this: it feels like for us though, our greatest pop musicians do not care about what it is they are saying. This is not the case for the US. Beyonce's lyrics are actually readable. Single ladies, essentially about okay, you are with this woman, you haven't married her, but yet you are being jealous. That's really what that song is about. Ego, of course, you can imagine what ego is about. All of her songs, you can tell she's saying something. Michael, of course, in the 80s also had the same thing. The problem, like I said, is that the best of Nigerian pop music, you can almost say that okay, nobody's really thinking heavily about what it is they're putting down. Look at this song. I mean, talk about repetition. This song, which I love, by the way, Hot Body, Ira Star. It's pretty much look what a hot body can do. That's pretty much what the entire song is. And she said it actually over like a 2 minute or a 3 minute span. The point is this is that, anyways, like what I'm trying to get at here is that but Chimeze has a point. Unfortunately, I don't think his point is particularly limited to this generation. I think they've always just been an issue with Nigerian pop music generally, in that people care a lot more about how it sounds than what it is they are actually saying. It is not the same thing for pop music outside of this country. We are just a very weird people. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it sounds good and you can dance, you can fight, you can party to it, doesn't really matter what they're saying. I mean, you could be cursing anyone in the song as long as the beat is one that you can, whine to and all that. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And there's something you said, or is about, Afro beats, which Seun Kuti, kind of stirred up a conversation about saying it's more of a label than an actual music genre. I mean,
I saw this and I'm like,
a lot of people are going to be divided on this, but does he have a point?
Yeah, I think he has like 3 points, even more than one. Yes, I saw it. I was like, okay, actually, he does have a point. I remember last year, a friend of mine who is a music journalist in Ghana was he last year, 2 years ago, a while ago anyway, was asking me that what exactly makes up Afrobeats? What are the elements of Afrobeats music as a genre? And then I was saying, I mean, this was the best I could come up with. And this is what the Grammys said on their website maybe 2 or 3 years ago that Nigerians were very angry about. I feel like Afrobeat essentially, if you think about it as a genre, pretty much a genre, a sound that combines our local vibes, our local sounds with filtered through like an American sensibility. I feel like for it to be Afrobeat, you kind of need something Western. and something African to work. So if you think about people like Wande Cole, Ricardo Banks, Wizkid, you're thinking of people who are essentially singing, their phrasing might be Fuji, but the sound sounds more like either hip hop or R&B.
Right.
That's
Right,
kind of like
right.
the basic vibe of what these guys have been doing. And like I said, it's, for me, I think the generation is like it's a Wande Cole, Wizkid, everybody else thing. Think about what's his name, Burna Boy. Burna Boy will sample an R&B record, sample a rap record. You understand?
Yeah.
And he will take something from Jamaica on occasion. But you know that okay, the way he's singing it sounds like a Nigerian. So I've always felt like, and of course, what's his name? Davido, who even has like both a Nigerian and an American passport, and also has the same sensibilities, just the kind of way he sings.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always felt like that's kind of like the major thing. But when Seun Kuti is saying that, hey, it's a label, it brings me back to what my friend was saying in Ghana. So he was saying that as long as the song gets into the, you know, the song Afrobeats chart, I think from Billboard.
Yeah.
Billboard has Afrobeat, yes. And he said, so long as the song gets into that chart, then it's Afrobeats. That was what he was saying. So he wasn't going about it on the level of musicality or like elements of the sound. He was talking about it, okay, in terms of like, okay, broadly speaking, if he shows up here, then I can say it is Afrobeats. So for him, he has already thought, maybe he didn't use the same word, but really that's a label, that's a labeling thing. That's not like a musicology kind of thing. So what would happen is if we had like actual music journalists to say, hey, look, the guys who are doing academics and say, okay, there are ways you can pass, what's it called? Afrobeats musically, maybe like, I don't know, a notation scale, then maybe, just maybe, would have that kind of discussion. But I think that for now, I am tilting towards Seun Kuti being correct that, okay, Afrobeats is not particularly a genre. I've always thought it's a genre because you take Nigeria or you take Africa and you take the US.
Right.
But I think, yes, there is a lot to be said for it being a label. So what that means is I'm a piano, which is not necessarily Western. It's kind of, well, maybe you can say house music and some South African vibes, kind of what gives some a piano. You understand? And that's kind of the dominant, like that's the dominant one for the past 2, 3 years now. So in a sense, yeah, I think Sean Kuti has a very, very, very strong point.
Right. I was actually going to talk about, the Amapiano thing and all that because, James, looking at everything that Shimon has said, looking at what we've actually put forward now, do we really have any reason to be angry when all these awards come out and Thailand, all our heavyweights are in the same group and she wins the Afrobeats Award? I mean, looking at this now, should we be surprised or angry looking at what it is right now?
Well, it was shocking to the whole of or maybe Nigerians. I think this Afrobeats, even when we go back to the history of it, they may not just it's not synonymous to Nigeria alone, but a lot of Nigerians or Nigerian fans or music people, sort of have stylistically low key hold it as theirs. Which was why when Tyler Perry, I'm sorry, not Tyler Perry, when Tyler won, when Tyler won that Afrobeats award was the last 2 years, people were mad.
Was it not just last
Social
year?
media went crazy,
He still won the VMAs a few days ago. Afrobeats
Yeah.
as well.
So at the end of the day, look, which was why I said argument. Who wants to argue? Is actually a label. I don't.
Yeah.
There's no. It's not
Sean Kuti has a
disrespectful.
point. Strong point.
It's
Yes.
a label. I remember one time I had this. I was having. I think it was myself, Ice Prince. So the same way I asked Ice Prince, the same way I think I asked Sakode. Some years ago when the whole Afrobeat thing was getting heavier, and I was like, look, they categorize your music as Afrobeat. How do you feel about that? And they're like, no, why? I like it. It makes sense so long as they are listening to us now, so long as they are liking us now, so long as they are accepting our music now, they are playing our music on their platforms, and they see it as Afrobeats. That's what it is. And truthfully, Afrobeats is just African music. It's we have look at. I always say that. And I mean, it's what it is. We have rap music, we have pop music, we have jazz music, we have, you understand what I'm saying? We have R&B. These are genres of music. You cannot mix it up anywhere. We have our pop music, but it's just that on their own platform, it didn't sound like pop music to them. They just didn't accept it as pop music. But of course, as we moved on, and then, like always said, we started, merging, we started marrying their own music or their own sound with our own sound, our conga, our talking drums and everything. And then okay, how are we going to? I mean, that's how somehow, some way, if you still go back to how the history or how we arrived here, you still tell, because when we had the likes of Shakomo, Junior and Pretty, let me just even take it from that Shakomo era, the Remedies era,
Remedies,
the,
yeah.
the Plantation Boys and so on. Nobody said Afrobeats. It was rap music or it was pop music, or it was Fuji, however it sounded at that point in time. But as time went on now, when they talk about Afrobeats today, they will go back to that, go back to that year,
Yeah,
and
those
they'll tell you
sounds,
that
yeah.
that's where Afrobeats started from, and then it keeps going
Correct,
on and on.
correct.
So, hey, it's liberal.
And the jury has it's a label, not an out and out genre on its own. Let's take Tayo's message on WhatsApp. Tayo says lyrical content has been on the low for some time now. It's more of humming and chanting these days. No content. Songs are now 1 minute 23 seconds long, which I find very galling, to be honest. Very like one verse, the hook, another verse, you're done. What's going on?
And this verse you're saying is not verses.
Just the 3 lines or something ridiculous like that. He then says, Bright Chimese sent me to you, James. And he said, please don't drag me. Songwriters are becoming extinct. So he says, Oris is like, Omas will be the one to eventually catch you over Ira Star. My hand will not be involved in that one now. And then Stan says, with due respect, what were Bright Chimese's lyrics, Seth? I carry for where we go like I need a chopper and police, yeah, police.
No, but no, see that this is not fair, Stan,
Because when you put it like this, you are, I guess, failing to see the metaphorical aspect of that particular line. What he's saying essentially is that, look, something that is supposed to be for him incredibly cultural is taken as something that is brought to the West,
Oris, don't take
a
it too
barbarian.
seriously. He understands. Trust me, he understands. I'm sure.
I don't think he understands that,
No,
because
he
this year
understands.
is too much. I
No,
don't
no,
think
no.
Regime is here. Yeah, this is too much.
He understands.
He then says, truth be told, music is a personal choice of preference, either old or young.
Yes.
At least Asha is not in the 80s, and Majek Fachek is not in the recent era. Both are artists with good lyrics, but choice of preference.
Fact.
Period.
That's true. I like that you mentioned Asha, because that first Asha album, always special. Always. Every single song, she was thinking about something and actually putting it down incredibly well.
Was a hit back to back, to be honest. Anyways, we need to wrap it up this morning on the Grapevine. Thank you all so much for keeping up with us. Big thank you to you, James, and of course, Oris, for making it a Thursday to remember.
Anytime,
Please come and follow me on Twitter, please, at Catchoris. CATCHORIS. And look, for the very first time, Ayo is going to follow me now. Can you imagine? After 3,000 years, Ayo is just out of my handle on Twitter.
I always forget.
Yeah, because of course, when we catch me in the street instead,
These are the problems. But like I always say, catch me online, but not on the streets.
And of course, James Silas is still James Silas everywhere. X everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. If you look for me anywhere,
he doesn't tweet. James
you'll
doesn't
find me.
tweet.
Yes. So, but
tweet.
I mean, I do actually. If you see, go back, I tweeted day before yesterday.
So after like 3,000 years.
So if you see me anytime you catch me, just say, "Hey, I'm from the Grapevine. I'll have back." Thanks.
Alrighty, have a great one, James. Thank you so much once again. Lagos, Nigeria, the entire world, wherever it is you're listening to us, it's been real. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. The fun definitely continues. Music all the way.